Good evening and Merry Christmas. The Charter Township of Plymouth Board of Trustees meeting for Tuesday, November 12th, 2019 will come to order. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Heitman.
Here.
Trustee Dempsey.
Present.
Clerk Vorba here. Trustee Dorshevitz.
Present.
Trustee Kermy.
Here.
Treasurer Clinton.
Here.
Supervisor Heisey.
Here.
All present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Tonight's Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Clerk Vorba.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Item C is the approval of the agenda. Tonight, I would like to pull item F5. That was the resolution of support for Robert Bosch's application for the Good Jobs for Michigan program. They need more time, so they've asked us to pull that item for tonight. It may come back, though, at a future meeting.
Mr. Supervisor.
Mr. Clerk.
I move for the approval of the agenda Tuesday, November the 12th, 2019, minus item F5.
Motion's made by Clerk Vorba. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Heitman. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Item D is approval of the consent agenda. Comments or questions by the board?
Question,
Yes.
trying to find it. I don't remember what Trustee Dempsey asked to reserve the right to bring up at a later meeting, an unauthorized and unpermitted demo in the township. I don't remember what that was. What was that?
Well, that was a private one that was not done by the township. There's been two demos that you've probably been aware of in the last couple weeks. One was a demo done by a developer for a project on Ann Arbor Road. The other demo was done by the township. It was the Sheffield Court house that had caught fire late last year. It's been the subject of several investigations, and the neighbors were very upset that the house had not come down yet. We had determined through both the fire and police chief that there was no longer any investigations going on at the site, so we invoked our ability to tear the house down, which we've now been reimbursed completely for our time and expense by the insurance carrier for the mortgage company.
What date was it demolished?
I think it was Labor Day weekend, pretty close. I think it was the day before Labor Day weekend. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the demolition that I was referring to, I'm going to bring back up probably early next year in terms of some policy change we probably need to address, or at least
Okay, I just
look
couldn't
into.
remember. I didn't remember that.
I have my usual concern, Canton Mutual Aid. We gave mutual aid 14 times, and we received one. Come on, guys, this is, love thy neighbor, but, we got to worry about our own people first. And a lot of these calls were to Michigan Avenue, to Geddes Road. They were way out. They're taking our guys out of town for a long time. I don't know if there's anything we can do, but these numbers are still, they're not getting any better, Chief.
How many of them were medical?
I think there were only four that were at a medical facility, it looked like.
How many were medical?
Typically, they're all medical calls.
They don't have a private ambulance service, so they have to rely on Plymouth Township or another community. I don't think we can fix it. But those communities have a model that is set up and requires mutual aid from fire department for all calls.
But we're out of Plymouth Township 14 times. That, I'm sorry, we're only getting one back. That's not mutual.
How'd you get 10 to 3?
There's two months in this report, September and October.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So it's 4
Okay.
and 1. And
Canton Township did increase their manpower, their minimum manning. I want to say in the beginning of September, and they are going to do it again, from what I understand, January 1st. But they, like all other municipalities, have been having an extremely hard time hiring people. So,
I just don't like their model being rely on Plymouth Township. You know, and if that's the model they're using, I've got a big problem with it, and that's not mutual aid.
I can tell you that almost every occurrence that we go into Canton is in Westland, and as you know, Westland is having financial issues. Westland did receive a SAFER grant, so they are hiring, I believe, 12 additional firefighters that should help alleviate that, and we should see the benefits of that over the coming year if Westland can fill those spots. Again, we do have a hard time hiring police officers and firefighters right now, so if Westland can fill their spots, Canton won't be in their community as much, which will make it so we're not in Canton as much.
I hope so. Thanks.
Okay, any other questions?
Yes, I have several that have to do with reports. This is the report. Let's see, I was looking for PDF. It's punched out. Hold on. It's the dispatch report and the police report.
Do you have the number, page number by any chance?
Well, it's page 2, but it's punched out. Police report, third page. Fourth page. So police report starts on, can't see it, maybe 36. Okay. It starts on 36, so it's 36, 37, 38 of the PDF.
Okay, this one?
Yes. Look down in the third row from the bottom under June. See that number that says 2240 for June for township fire?
Yeah.
That can't be right. And
No.
no,
Yeah, it looks like you got a typo.
Yeah.
it's 2,240.
Yeah, there's a typo.
It's a mistake.
Yeah, the summary, 2974.
Right down.
doesn't
Put
even-
your right there,
Yeah,
2240.
this one right here. Yep.
Must be 224.
Probably has a 0 that shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
224.
So this isn't a spreadsheet. These numbers are entered. Who prepares the document and who signs off?
Dispatch.
What manager signs off?
Well, ultimately, the police chief, myself, I'll have to look into that number. I don't have an answer for you at this
All
point,
right.
but I'll let you know tomorrow.
Great. Second thing is, next page, which is a pie chart. So we got it labeled now. Interesting thing, 50% of the calls to the dispatch center are the city of Plymouth related. And amazingly, the city of Plymouth has more police calls than Plymouth Township
Okay,
as a percentage. Is that
Well,
right? Or am I not reading it correctly?
no, the city tracks its calls differently than we do and most other police departments do. These aren't 911 calls. What the city does, and it's not wrong, they just do it differently, is anytime they take any type of action, including calling out to go to lunch, they pull a case number essentially. If they're driving through a neighborhood on patrol, they'll pull a case number. If they stop at a school, they'll pull a case number. We don't do that. So we're trying to correct that issue, and if we can't correct it, we'll probably take that, we'll put a caveat on there to explain it.
Okay, good. There's another pie chart that is smaller for the next month, and I'm going by memory because I didn't mark it. It was a chart in a chart.
This one?
Now, it's another month or, hold on, let's see.
Chart.
Keep going. It might be in another month, which is in a different, they're not in order.
That's it, we're out of pie.
I know, but there's another one in here.
Well, it
There's
could
another
be in
police report
October.
in this document,
Is that October?
and it's just not in order. It's not police with police. You get what I mean?
Well, they're
Alternating months, yeah, by month.
Right. So let's find it then, if we can. It is probably forward. You have to go
Forward?
forward.
Oh, no, we
See
get
if
into
I,
the
let's see
planning
if I've
commission.
got it, another
Yeah.
mark in here. Hold on.
Yeah, there's nothing that way.
maybe. Page 78, is that the,
This one?
yeah, okay, that's what I mean by chart in a chart. If you make that a little bigger, you look there. 2019. Is that marked correctly? This time the color is opposite. The city police is, the city calls is a bigger number, but it's smaller in the pie. 16,473. And then see how that's 37%. I think it's transposed. It's a different color this time.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I mean? Because the number for the city, if you take the city police and the city fire,
2018.
48%.
that's greater than,
Wait a minute. 40, sorry.
the city is blue, correct? Is that what it says?
That's what
Yeah,
it says, yeah.
blue and yellow.
So does that look, is that correct on there, or does it look wrong to me?
It doesn't add up.
Well, not with 20.
That one
No,
being
it's
about
40.
40
That's 40%, and
as opposed to, right.
16,400 plus 971 is 17,300, which is over
But-
50.
Well, that's 2018 compared to 2019, though. So the numbers on top are 2018 numbers.
Oh, see
Oh,
that?
so the chart says 2019.
Yeah.
So there's something discombobulated there. It's worth looking at.
2018 as a graph and 2019 as a pie chart.
Yeah.
I'll take a look at it. Okay, it just, I guess I assumed that it was both, the data at the top was the raw data put in the,
Oh, there's
There's
the
19.
the other
okay,
part.
there it is.
There's the,
So police, city would be 9,800.
That makes more
plus
sense than the 19.
13,000. Okay.
All right,
Okay.
now I understand.
okay.
Okay.
There you go.
I do have a similar question, Chief. Number of arrests is at a 2-year high. Looks like number of misdemeanors is up for this month. Is there a particular misdemeanor that we're focusing on that's,
No, not necessarily focusing on.
I mean, it's almost double misdemeanors for the entire year in October. 81,
What page? Yeah,
page 81.
81.
Yeah, slide down a little bit.
That could be one house party.
Yeah, there you go.
House
Number
party.
of arrests there. All right. Just a concern.
Okay, anything else? Hearing none, I need a motion.
Mr. Supervisor, I move we approve the consent agenda.
A motion's made by Mr. Heitman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Clerk Vorba. All those in favor of item D signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. At this time, Clerk Vorba would like to make a special introduction.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Supervisor and Board. I'd like for, Ginger, would you mind standing up? Ginger Moriarty is our new Finance Director, and she will be joining us starting next week. And Ginger comes to us via Dearborn, where she has had extensive background, not only in finance, but with the Treasurer's Office, look out, Mark, and also assessing. So she comes to us with a wide scope of experience, and we're very delighted to have her here. And we just wanted to introduce you to her and say welcome to Ginger. Thank you very
Welcome.
much.
Welcome.
So Ginger, you've met some of us here at the table, but we have Trustee Kermy, Trustee Dempsey.
I need to mention that I lived in Dearborn a number of years, long before your time, though.
Long.
Long. Treasurer Clinton, you've met. Trustee Gary Heitman and Trustee Bob Dorshevitz.
Hi. Likewise.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Since you're here, you might as well get started on assignments or thinking about them.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. No. This is
Not on the
Chuck.
payroll
One
yet.
of them is in the minutes from last week, is the reconciliation and the invoice to the city of Plymouth for the 2018 dispatch. I asked a question about that.
Yes.
And didn't receive an answer, but once you're on board, my judgment is you'll be getting into that. The 2018 City of Plymouth invoice to them. And And the other is collections, since you have a lot of analytical skill and are in collections, I think you do, and in receivables, I'd like you to work with the fire chief on our transport receivables and emergency recovery, because we're coming to the end of the year, and there's a lot of aging that goes on, and you're well aware of it. I think you can use somebody to probably do a little bit of prodding or whatever it takes to get that system to do what you want, so that we get collection and it doesn't get too old.
Okay, there you
End-of-year
go.
activity.
Thank you very much. There's your first assignment.
Yeah. Actually, it's the water budget. So.
It's actually the water budget. Thank you, Ginger.
All right, thanks, Ginger. Next is item E. This is public comments and questions. This is not your only opportunity during the evening to have public comment or questions. We just ask that you try to limit it to 3 minutes. We also encourage public comments and questions on individual agenda items, as long as they are germane to that particular item. And there will be another opportunity for public comments and questions at the end of the meeting. So at this point, does anybody want to come forward? Okay. We're going to move on then to item F. This is new business. Tonight is our annual budget approval, and we have the 2020 budget before us tonight. We have to do a public hearing, which is required by law. So at this point, I need to go to item F1. Clerk Vorva is responsible for putting on the public hearing. Do you have any comments?
Just that pursuant to Michigan compiled laws 42.26, we published a notice in our record paper on October the 31st, which is more than enough time, which is 7 days required before the hearing. And you also see a copy of the public notice posted there. And so everything is done in accordance with the law. And so we can move to the public hearing.
All right, we're going to have a public hearing now on the proposed 2020 budget. Is there a motion to open the hearing?
Mr. Supervisor,
Mr. Clerk.
I move for to opening of the public hearing for the 2020 budget at
7:17.
7:17.
Is there a second? Second by Trustee Heitman. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Supervisor Heising.
Yes?
Treasurer Clinton.
Yes.
Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Trustee Dorshevitz.
Yes.
Clerk Vorva, yes. Trustee Dempsey.
Yes.
Trustee Heitman. Motion carries.
Okay, we are now in a public hearing on the 2020 budget. Any comments or questions from the public on the budget? Again, we'll stick to the 3-minute rule. All righty, any comments or questions? We don't have to have comments or questions by the board at this time. We'll wait until the next agenda items. All right, hearing no further comments or questions, I need a motion to close the public hearing at 7:18.
Mr. Supervisor.
Mr. Heitman.
I move we close the public meeting at 7:18.
Motion's made by Trustee Heitman. Is there a second?
Did he indicate to close the public hearing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Close the public hearing.
I second that.
Seconded by Trustee Dempsey. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Dempsey.
Yes.
Trustee Heitman.
Yes.
Trustee Dorshevitz.
Yes.
Clerk Vorva, yes. Supervisor Heising.
Yes.
Treasurer Clinton.
Yes.
Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next is item F1. This is the 2020 Charter Township of Plymouth General Appropriations Act and 2020 Budget Adoption. In the absence of a finance director for the last several months, this has been patched together by Treasurer Clinton and myself with a good deal of assistance from our outgoing finance director, Cindy Kushner, and of course all of our staff here at Township Hall who have had a role as department heads in the preparation of the budget. We've had several meetings on this item going back to late August, early September. We've had some presentations from police and fire, general government presentations. Clerk certainly had his moment in the stars with his portion of the budget. And at this point, I'm willing to take any comments or questions from the board, and I would encourage your support of the 2020 budget. Any questions from the board?
Yeah, what is all this that's been handed out? Mark,
Mark
you want to
Clinton?
go through it?
So just two things. What's in the board packet are two documents. One is the detail for the budget, both the revenue and the expenditures that come out of the general ledger system. And then in front of that, I've put kind of a more of an executive summary that gives a higher level view of what the revenues and expenses are. The two documents that I passed out here are basically the final versions of A, the capital budget, and B, we always call it the cheat sheet. This is what's changed from the last version that you looked at until now. At this point, there were just minor tweaks and adjustments and input some of the recommendations that some of the board members had into the final budget. You can see the impact on the bottom line was zero. Basically, the Jaws of Life budget item that we had in next year's budget, I did not realize that it was already included in this year's budget, so I removed it from next year's budget, which freed up roughly $30,000 that was used to kind of put into other areas, most specifically some recommendations that were made by trustee members in the park, and the park directors had some recommendations on some maintenance items and some capital items for the park. So I just did some tweaking of about $30,000, and the bottom line is no impact to the budget.
What is a tourism brochure?
That was an item requested by the Historic District Commission to put in the form of a publication, historic sites around the township that would be able to be distributed, part of the toolkit, I guess you'd say, for quality of life, economic development. So the estimate was it would cost $500 or so to produce that brochure.
What's the Memorial Day investment?
Yeah, under Michigan law, a township can devote funds toward certain public commemorations, including Memorial Day. And we have a parade here in Plymouth, the Plymouth community, on Memorial Day, and the cost of that has continued to escalate. I shouldn't say escalate. It's continued to increase. It's charged by the city of Plymouth to the group that organizes the parade. So as a way of helping continue that event, and since it's permitted by state law, and since I know all 7 of us, as well as the people of the township, would be supportive of continuing to commemorate our service people who have made the ultimate sacrifice, I propose that we put it in the budget. That's why it's in here.
So it's lawful expense.
Yes, Mr. Bennett's not in here too.
Any other comments or questions by the board? Well, we've already had public comment on this. item, so. No, we did, actually.
The number of full-time equivalents that we are adding to this budget, you passed out the organization chart just now.
Right.
This is the baseline that you handed out, baseline before budget changes for next year.
This is current. I just want to check one thing.
I don't see an
Yeah,
ad
this
in
is,
the
yeah, no.
building department.
No, you're right. This is current as of today.
All right. So you're adding, how many full-time equivalents to this organization?
1 in the building department. Police
And
and
then-
fire are the same.
Yeah, there'd be same, there's a half, we've proposed that GIS technician,
Yeah.
that would be split between the general fund as well as the water and sewer fund.
Yeah. But
Can we
that's,
talk about that GIS technician? Has the police department and the fire department received the services they need, which we talked about, a year and a half ago on GIS?
Chuck, the question should be directed to
Okay.
me. So
All right.
it's,
Directed to
we're,
you.
we're working on it right now. Jeremy Schroet from Spalding to Decker is pretty close to having the GIS system complete. Once it's complete, I've asked Jeremy to come in and brief the board probably in January or February. And then I'd want to make a determination at that time whether or not a part-time GIS person is needed. I don't think a full-time person is needed. But I'd like us to gradually, collectively come to the decision on whether or not a part-timer is required, or whether that's something that can be handled by Spalding. But more than likely, we'll need a part-timer.
But we haven't had the part-timer, we haven't had one in over a year.
I know, yeah. And it's been a burden on DPS. They've had to do a lot of things that are beyond the scope of knowledge of some of the staff that we currently have. Certain things are delayed, and I know Patrick will tell you that we need up-to-date GIS services for many of the new initiatives that he has going on in his department as well. So the CityWorks in particular. So
CityWorks is going to be managed by Spalding to Decker.
currently, it's being managed internally with the consultants that we hired to assist us with that. Spalding has a hand in it right now, but even if we hire a part-time GIS person, that person's really just going to be doing maintenance, which is really, for the most part, what the other person did too. Maintenance of the system. The system constantly has to be updated. We get misdig requests. We're going to have more requests coming out of CityWorks, et cetera.
Which organization will be entering the data that we need entered on the maps?
Right now or in the future? I mean, right now, it's being done by Spalding. I would suspect that once we learn more from them in the next couple months on what the system looks like and the level of maintenance and input that's needed in the future, I think we'll be able to better answer that. I think initially it's going to be a little bit of Spalding, a little bit of DPW, and maybe a little bit of a part-time person.
So with Spalding to Decker, we're going to be making sort of a make-buy decision on whether to insource it or leave it outsourced based on their costs or their quotes.
What they're doing right now is building the platform. We really had to start really from scratch in some cases. Once the platform is up and running, I think then we'd have to make a determination. I sort of envision Spalding doing any heavy work that needs to be done in the future, and then if we can do the rest in-house, the fine-tuning, the day-to-day maintenance, the information requests, things like that, that might be something we can work on.
So the
internally.
CityWorks contract that we had with the consultant was not building the system?
It was building the CityWorks platform, which is unique to DPW, which manages their various infrastructure needs.
All right, I don't completely understand, but all right, we're going to have a...
We'll learn more in the months ahead.
We're also going to ask Spalding to give us the benefits as we go so we can make a decision for a return on investment that basically says, well, maybe a part-time person isn't enough. Maybe we need to go based on the benefits back to the township.
Or we may have to have somebody else maybe wearing two hats, maybe somebody in both DPS and building who may be handling this.
Yeah, I just want to make sure you guys are open to, here's the benefits of doing it, so.
What is this in the clerk's office, election specialist? Is that a new position?
No, that's a current position that was put in last year in 18, and that's a position to keep updated all of the election information that comes in on a daily basis, along with helping manage the elections. So that was in last year's budget, meaning this year's, and it's in next year's budget.
But isn't that the deputy clerk's job?
Deputy clerk along, what you have is in the past, without going too much into the past, there was a lot of things that were not done in the past as far as updating files, keeping things current. And so it's an ongoing basis. So whenever you have elections, it's not just the election time. It's a daily basis of people coming in, people coming out, and those files have to be updated. So the deputy clerk not only does that, so does the election specialist, and so do I, as a matter of fact, keeping all that stuff updated and removing people and then maintaining records. Some of these things, even though you pull someone out of the system, you have to keep the information for 5 years. So you got to keep everything in order. And so really it's an ongoing process that you need. And in light of the changes that you're seeing in in all of elections with the laws that have passed last year, it's going to become even more intensive.
Is that a union position?
Yes, it is.
So what happens If it's elections, but what happens if they're not busy and you want them to do something else?
They can, because in their job description is other administrative jobs.
Okay.
Thank you for asking. It's a good question.
When do you plan on filling that?
We've put the notice out today.
Okay, good.
Okay, anything else from the
On the
board?
last item with parks, the 22,250, the break, do you have it broken down by these items in the list?
I don't have it broken down. This was a wish list from a number of people,
A
yourself.
lot of them was me.
Yeah, yourself, the director of the parks. So this, what you're seeing here, these descriptions, is kind of a wish list. I'm not sure that we're going to do all of these next year, but what I've placed in the budget is $22,250 to do some or all of these activities.
Okay, well, the salt spreader, you're going to wait on that a little later, or are you going to buy it now for next year?
I would want to make sure what exactly we plan on doing with the salt spreader. If the intent is to salt the walking and jogging tracks, I'm not sure if that is something we have done in the past, because the walkers and the joggers don't always like salt on their
Right.
walking surface.
Although the park foreman says that they've complained that it was too slippery, so I don't know what the real story is. Okay,
Okay?
and repair of the entrance concrete, which we've delayed 2 years, the stamped concrete.
Out here.
The expansion joint filling.
Yeah.
I know we didn't like the quote at one time. As we go on, that'll deteriorate, and I'll have to remove it all instead of just filling the joints.
I know we had
Do we have money in here from last year we're carrying over?
We had Mark Lewis get some quotes last year, and a lot of them were very high. This is a specialty concrete that we have out in front. We could chuck it all and use more standard concrete, or we could
Well, the surface is in good shape, except for 2 spots, but
yeah.
but if you allow the water and salt to go in the expansion joints, then it will be completely destroyed. I asked, I think Mark Lewis took a look at my driveway. It cost $3 a foot to fill the expansion joints, but it's worked great for 3 years. So I didn't have to remove the concrete.
That could also be expensed to the DDA as well, because it's exterior to this building, and it is part of the public accessibility of this building.
So do we have money in, or we're not sure yet? For 2019?
I don't think we have anything budgeted specifically for that task. We could certainly pay for it out of DDA money. As far as a line item or an earmark, that in this budget, I don't think it exists. But we also have a maintenance fund for this building that we've been building up every year, and we could certainly take it out of that.
Okay, let's just keep an eye
Yeah.
on it so that
Okay.
it doesn't show up.
If you could just shoot me an email at some point to that effect, and then that'll get you and me and Mark Lewis talking about it. Okay, anything else from the board? We've already had the public hearing, so I'd like a motion to adopt the budget.
Mr. Supervisor,
Mr. Heitman.
I move to adopt Resolution 2019-11-12-100, authorizing the adoption of the 2020 Charter Township of Plymouth General Appropriations Act and the 2020 budget as outlined and attached in accordance with the terms and conditions contained therein.
Motion's made by Trustee Heitman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Clerk Vorva. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Treasurer Clinton.
Yes.
Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Trustee Dempsey.
Yes.
Trustee Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Trustee Heitman.
Yes.
Clerk Vorba, yes. Motion carries.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Next is item 3. This is the Colony Farms SAD engineering request. We'll have Director Felrath and George Sackhoff from OHM come forward. This is not our first visit with this project, so we'd like an update from Patrick on what has changed since the last time we met on Colony Farms.
Okay.
What mic does he use?
Yeah, there you go.
He's a tall guy. He's got to lean into it.
It's a personal problem.
So good evening. This is, the board has requested to authorize the preliminary engineering for the proposed Colony Farms Road Rehabilitation Special Assessment District. As Mr. Supervisor just mentioned, this request was first brought to the board about 2 months ago on September 10th. And at that time, the petition signatures that were submitted by the Homeowners Association was shown to demonstrate more than half, 51%, based on the total front footage, but less than 51% based on the total number of units within the proposed district. So at that time, the board elected not to proceed and instead direct me to communicate with the project champion of the Homeowners Association to communicate to him the need to collect additional signatures for this preliminary petition to demonstrate more than 51% support based not just on the front footage, but also the total number of units. So in response to that, I did relay that communication to the project champion, Mr. Larry Coomer of Colony Farms, and he did collect additional signatures. He collected signatures representing about 12 additional homes. So it meets both criteria now, based both on front footage and number of units. The updated tally of support is now 53.9% based on the total number of units, and 75.1% based on the total front footage. So based on that tally, the board has requested tonight to proceed and to authorize the preliminary engineering phase, whereby our engineering consultant prepares a cost estimate for the project, which is what everybody wants to know for the second petition in order for the township to determine whether or not to proceed, if enough support is garnered at that time.
Okay, questions from the board?
So the friction between the condos and the single-family homes will be unresolved. Our tradition has been that will remain that condo owners will have to participate in the process and cost. Is that right? There's no creative solution that's come up. I received one email, the board received an email from someone who was opposed. Is Larry Cummer here, or the representative? So just so we acknowledge that there is that controversy, but there may be no resolution to it.
Yes, there hasn't been any change since the last time this was brought before the board. There's a condo that's included within the district. They are included in the district, and we have proceeded how we've more or less historically proceeded in regard to the condo. That is, they are regarded as receiving a full benefit by the rehabilitation of the roads. So if this project were to move forward,
Each condo
with
will-
history, each condo, along with each subdivision home, would be assessed one full
That-
benefit.
That's based on tradition or
Correct.
history,
Yes.
but it's not necessarily what we would have to do again.
No, that's a board direction, absolutely.
We could look at some other solution potentially,
Oh, absolutely.
but that's,
Yeah, I'm just answering,
Yeah.
we haven't changed anything since the last meeting.
no, but I think we had clarification from Mr. Bennett when this came up last time about this process and the issue of, I forget what the term is, but equitable benefits or something, apportionment. So, I mean, I'd like to talk about that when it comes back, if it comes back, which I presume it will.
It's a pretty strong number of signatures.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
From the homeowners, but not from the condo association.
Aren't there some from condos?
Four on
Four.
48, yeah.
And obviously, their concern is, we're going to pay the cost, but
Right.
we don't get the same benefit that the homeowners do.
Patrick, how are the condo units distinguished on your chart?
The condo units are
Right here.
right there, yeah,
So it's 4 for the, okay, got it.
4 of the 48 condo units support so far.
And for the rest of the board, we did have a meeting with the condo association personnel, myself and Patrick and others in the administration, so that they had an opportunity to air their concerns. And they had intimated that in the past, they had always shared some services and costs with the people of the regular homeowners association, and asked, well, why can't we just do that? And our response was, well, if you want to make a private agreement with the homeowners association whereby you make a formula that is agreeable to everyone, we don't care. So we did. They did reach out to us. We did respond to them, and then in the interim, then the champion came in with a number of other signatures that put it over 75% of the front footage, and then barely got over the 50%. This is one of those situations where the makeup of if you look at the map, the makeup of the map causes an anomaly where you need more than 75% of the front footage in order to get over 50% of the units, and really the state law only requires front footage as the thing. So it's here you could have 30% or less of the front footage saying no to fixing roads and having them deteriorate. So
What's the white area again by the condos? Is that?
The white area are the various common areas and parks that belong either to the subdivision
Oh,
or
yeah.
both.
That's
There's
the
that
Those are
barn or?
excluded
the barn.
from
The barn,
front
yeah.
footage calculation.
ponds, there's ponds and barns,
Yeah.
grassy areas. Okay. If there's
There's a gentleman
nothing else
on
from the
this.
board, I would like members of the public to speak at this time.
He said,
and if you could give your name and speak into the microphone, thank you.
My name is Keith Lermano. I'm secretary of the Colony Farms Condo Association. With me tonight in the second row there with the black coat on is Bev Ellis. She's our treasurer. We wanted to make the board aware that our condo association objects to the special assessment district and proceeding with the study as proposed. It's fundamentally unfair to our condo association and our owners. I did provide a letter to the board earlier this morning that's hopefully been distributed to the board members that solidifies our thoughts. Our association is a part of the Colony Farms Homeowners Association. We were not consulted about this process by the Homeowners Association until fairly far along in the process. I also want to point out to the board, although it's not shown on the map, we have our own private road through our condos. It's called Colony Farm Circle. That's paid for solely by the condos. The Colony Farms HOA does not pay anything toward the maintenance of our road, and our road has not been included as part of the special assessment district. So the question becomes, how is it fair that we have to maintain our road at our sole cost and yet have to contribute to the cost of rehabbing the HOA roads? We have 48 condo owners, as has been alluded to earlier. Only 4 of them have signed a petition to do the study. That is 8% of our owners. If you want to look at frontage, we've talked a little bit about frontage. There's a total of almost 13,000 foot of frontage feet in the Colony Farms HOA as a whole. The condo association only represents 712 feet of that frontage. That's 5.5% of the frontage. Yet under the township's proposal, where all the condo owners, the 48 owners, we can and will wind up paying 33% of this project because it'll be assessed on a per lot basis, assuming that each lot benefits equally. Bottom line is we don't think that each lot is going to benefit equally, at least not from the condo owner's perspective. And I think that bears repeating. We own only 5.5% of the frontage, yet we're going to be paying 33% of the cost of rehabbing the roads in the HOA. Unfortunately, the folks in the HOA substantially outnumber us, and it's been a bit of an uphill battle. We recognize that we do have 712 feet of frontage on Colony Farm and Thoreau, but we're being asked to fund the rehabilitation of 6 courts in the HOA that we do not front on and do not use. The above facts demonstrate that the cost to us is going to substantially outweigh the benefits to the condo owners.
Okay, you're at the 3-minute mark now, so just wrap it up.
Okay, yeah, the only other thing I wanted, my request to the board is either reject the resolution or in the alternative, require the HOA to supply signatures in favor of the petition from 50% of our owners, from the condo owners, 20 more condo owners for a total of 24. Thank you.
Let me just ask you a question. Do you, come back. Do you think would it benefit your condo association if you knew with more certainty what the cost of this project would be, which is really what we're voting on tonight?
Well, that would be a factor, but we really have no idea what it's going to cost.
Well, that's why we're here. I mean, that's what we want to authorize the engineers to find out what it's going to cost.
I understand that, but right now, under the proposal that's come forward, we're going to pay 33% of the cost. That is not fair under the circumstances.
Okay, do you want to comment on that, Jerry?
Well, after this, there has to be a second petition where the number of people have to exceed 51% again, 50% again. So that doesn't, just because we do this step right here, doesn't mean even the people who are in the association are going to say yes.
So Colony Farms people could back out of this once they find out what the cost is going to be.
Well, I understand. I understand we're going to have more opportunities to challenge, which we'll exercise if we have to. But I guess along those lines, I guess I would suggest to the board is already into OHM on this project for $10,000. And you're going to, if you approve this resolution tonight, you're going to spend $15,000 more. And I guess my...
What?
It's 14,000 even for the study that is going to be approved by the board tonight.
14.8.
14.
We'll have the.
That's in total.
That includes what's already been spent?
Yes.
Okay. Well, in any event, my comment to the board is, if it's taken the HOA this long to get the signatures, where the township is fronting the money, and this is being done for free for the homeowner association, does the board really think at some point that the HOA is going to be able to collect the signatures to approve this when they've actually got to spend money? I leave that question to the board.
Okay.
No, I think you're confusing things. They don't have to spend any money.
Do you know what the length of the private drive is, by any chance?
I don't offhand. Bev, do you?
You mean that short section there?
What, the private drive is the circle, right?
Colony Farms Circle.
You have mail delivery on that street, right? You don't have a common mailbox?
Well, we have, there's
You have-
there's a box of 4
Yeah.
that covers 4 condos, so there's 12 different boxes.
I guess the point I'm trying to make, and we got to learn more, I want to learn more about this project, but, you know, the road that you have, I don't even know if that's built to any kind of county standards or anything like that. I mean, I guess what I'm trying to figure out is it a bona fide road, or is it a drive? Is it a path? Is it a glorified driveway? I mean, it's...
So here's the point of my question. Do you think that's more than 1,000 feet? 1,400? So even if you counted that as frontage, there would still be enough. Even if you gave credit for each one of those condo owners, their frontage, and that were in the calculation, you added 1,400 or say 2,800 to the 12,009, you would still have over 50% of the frontage.
Well, I'm not sure I follow the math. My point is, our Colony Farm Circle is not included in the SAD. We have to fund that solely out of the condo association. So if we want to start funding roads in Colony Farms, then the HOA ought to be funding our road too. And that's not a part of what's before the board tonight. Right now, the Colony Farm Circle, the maintenance of that falls solely on the condos. The HOA does not share in that 1 penny.
Now, is the internal road Colony Farms Circle a county road?
I believe it's a private road.
All right, there's the kicker right there. It's not a county road.
Well, understood.
So the-
I think the board ought to take the equities into the situation where we're maintaining our road, and now we're being asked to pay 33% of the rehab of the HOA roads. I think that factors into whether, it factors into the cost-benefit analysis.
So let's
Yeah.
look for,
Can I-
we're going to gather some data here, so we'll know the exact cost. Signatures have to be collected again. You have the option to create a private agreement with the HOA. We have more time. So I don't see any risk in moving forward with spending this $14,800, of which apparently $10,000 is already sunk. Is that true, OHM? So what was this $10,000 number I heard that
Well,
was sunk?
at a previous board meeting, you approved approximately $10,000.
But that doesn't mean we spent it.
For this project.
No.
There have been public meetings, that OHM hosted a public meeting back in July that they were paid for, have generated.
No, that was the old proposal before we went back and got more signatures. So nothing was spent.
So there's no sunk money. I don't see any downside for the condominium association with moving forward now, except getting more data and knowing exactly how much it'll cost. And then if you enter in negotiations, or we come up with some creative, maybe the township can assist with some creative way of approaching this, other than what we have traditionally done. What we've traditionally done is what we're planning to do right now, with condos paying as a complete as a unit each. We've done that for the 25 years. But maybe if somebody comes up with a creative solution, it can be solved. So, and I urge you to get all the facts right, because you're concerning me a little bit. If you're using these facts with your neighbors, many of them are not correct.
I
The
do have-
$10,000 spent,
Plus 15.
those kinds of things, we need to get every fact straight if we want to make a good decision.
Didn't we have the same issue with Deer Creek?
Other than
We
what
did,
may have
yeah.
been paid to OHM, my facts are straight. I'll defer to Mr. Borba in terms of what OHM's been paid or not paid. That's, I'm fine with that, but in terms of.
Well, it's not paid,
percentages
it's spent.
Spent. In terms of the percentage and frontage footage and all that sort of stuff that I quoted, I'm quite confident my facts are straight.
Okay. Well,
Frankly, I think I owe it to the condo association to bring our concerns to the board early and often. That's why I'm here. And I'm sincere when I say we think this is fundamentally unfair to put 33% of the cost on this when you look at the frontage foot. And maybe OHM can look at the frontage foot analysis and do something different than what we've done in the past. But when you look at the frontage foot analysis, it's not fair to the condo association. That's the bottom line.
okay. I mean, I think that's been made.
Can I ask a question? I just want to understand how the homeowners and the condos association works together. And I'll use this example. You're part of the homeowners association, correct? Now, how do you handle snow removal?
We pay for ours and they pay for theirs.
Okay, so you're not contributing to the snow removal on all the other streets?
No.
What
Okay,
about the
interesting.
entry road? How do you get to your condos?
Well, actually, we share, with the homeowner association, we share 20% of expenses. Do you know, Bev, does that include their snow plowing?
There you go.
Okay. Okay. Well, we share.
What maintenance?
We share.
Pond. You will. So, okay, just hold on, because we don't want to turn it into a debate, but, so you do share in some of those costs, according to your
Not snow removal.
pond maintenance.
She says no, and she's the
Okay.
treasurer, and you say yes, so we're going to get it straightened out.
Okay, Chuck, let's stay focused. So,
I am.
okay, yeah, well, we're getting too many meetings here. So, okay, are we all set
I think I am.
for now? Okay, very good.
Well, as he leaves, I want to make a comment, which is, I appreciate you showing up tonight to present your concerns, representing your association. Totally legitimate. Shut up, Siri. I didn't ask you for any comments. And I think you put your finger on the issue. Is there an existing policy that's going to require you to pay 33%, or is that up for review when it comes back? I've heard two different things here. My view is we should look at these on a case-by-case basis and look at the equities. And so once this engineering study is done, if it's approved by the board tonight, and there is a cost, and then the issue comes up of who's going to pay for completing it, I think it'd be behoove everyone to take a fresh look and see what are the equities. What's the best equitable apportionment of those costs? So I appreciate what you have brought forward tonight.
Okay. Next. I'm going to hold you to the same 3-minute rule, too, unless we start grilling you with questions.
No,
Okay?
the other group went way beyond 3 minutes.
Well, it's because
That was our
because we hit them with a lot of questions after we gave them fair warning.
My name is Larry Coomer. I'm on the Colony Farm Subdivision Association. I'm the treasurer, and I'm also the project champion for the road SAD. There's 2 documents that govern the relationship and the management of the Colony Farm Subdivision Association. There's a restated subdivision agreement, and there's the subdivision bylaws. Most of the things that we were talking about earlier are in the restated subdivision agreement. Section 2.4 says that when there's a vote of the association is needed, the condo association only has 1 vote. They are 1 lot of 94. So when we decide anything as a full community, each household has a vote. The condo association board solicits the input from their members, and then they get 1 vote out of the 94.
What year was that? Was the date of that document?
In what the original founding of the subdivision.
From the 1970s?
In the 70s.
Well, I'm sorry, you signaled, what did you say? 73, a good year.
Section 3.2 describes the dues and what they're used for. There's several items listed in there, including property taxes for the common areas, maintenance of the common areas, patrol services, insurance, consulting, enforcement, and other improvements. There's nothing in that section about the county road, because I'm sure the builders and the association knew that that was the responsibility of the county. Section 3.6 outlines how each of the lot dues are allocated. Lots 1 through 40 represent 35% about. Lots 42 through 93, 44, 45%. And the lot 41 is 20.696. So lot 41 is the condominium association. So that's the number that we were talking about of how the funding goes. So every year when we collect our dues, out of the 100% pot of the dues that we collect, 20% of 20.696 comes from the condo association. And that money does go to pay for the maintenance of the common areas, all of the common areas, and for all of the services that are done for the whole neighborhood.
What about entry road snow plowing?
That's included in as part of the dues. We don't obviously, split the money up. It all comes into a general fund, and then we pay our expenses as we go through the year. So
What about use of the facilities, the barn or the clubhouse, whatever you call it,
Any member of the association can rent the barn.
including the condos?
Yes,
People?
yes, sir.
Okay.
So the subdivision agreement doesn't mention the roads and their maintenance. This means that the voting for the roads is not based on the subdivision agreement, but based on, I believe, the state of Michigan law. The state of Michigan states the 51% frontage. You guys at the last meeting said, hey, let's get 51% of the units as well. By the way, I think that's a lot more fair for the condo association than the original criteria. So I think we did make it more even, more equitable at that last meeting. But this also means that the condo board does not speak for each of the condo members, if this is the way that we're going to do the voting. And so with any election or vote, of course, there's going to be people that disagree. I've talked to many people. Not all those white spaces, if we could go back to those white spaces, not all those white spaces are a no. Right? I got other things going on in my life than going and trying to get signatures for this. So I didn't physically go talk to everybody, But out of the houses, of those white ones, 5 people told me no, absolutely no. And some of them were really angry. And so just like the condo members, there's people that own houses on those main streets that don't want them repaved either. And by the way, because I knew the hostility of the condo association, guess where I didn't go walk door to door to get signatures? I didn't go into the condo association. But I will point out 4 members of the condo associations did sign the petition. So I believe that we have a fair and equitable way of doing the voting, very, very democratic. It's going to be a 50-50 race. I did learn what it means to be in politics. Half the people are going to be mad at you, and half the people are going to be happy about you.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky. So I say we go get the cost of what the assessment's going to be, and then we'll go get the second petition signed. Other questions, comments for me?
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else would like to comment on this particular item? Pro or con, come on down.
Hi, my name's Steve Golias. I'm a project champion for the next agenda item on the Plymouth Meadows SAD, and just wanted to say that we're supportive of this going forward. In fact, the Colony Farms has sort of been the inspiration for us and piquing interest of our homeowners, and we all, as a member of Plymouth Meadows, we use Colony Farms roads a lot, and we operate effectively as a single subdivision, even though there are technically 3 plus the condos. And at this stage, being sympathetic to the equities of how the cost may be split out, we think it's good to hopefully also join in an approval with the Colony Farms Association with their own to help amortize some of the costs. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
My name is Stacy Romine. I've got no affiliation with this, just listening to the meeting. Just a quick question on past precedent, as you guys were describing how other situations were managed when there's a condo association in a subdivision. I'm wondering if in those situations the condos fund their own roads separately from the rest of the subdivision, or if that's a combination kind of finance effort. So it seems to be, would distinguish a little bit of what we want to potentially negotiate or consider going forward.
Yeah, actually, I live in Deer Creek, and in 2016, we have the exact same situation, the Deer Creek subdivision, and then within the Deer Creek subdivision is the Woodlands Condo Association. Woodlands Condo Association has their own private road, and this exact issue came up back in 2015. And the decision that was made and was implemented was each of the condo units paid an equal amount towards the entire assessment.
And was that equivalent to all of the units, the rest of the homeowner units?
Yeah. Correct. Whether you were a homeowner or a condo, you paid the exact same amount.
And did the condos fund their own road solely without the subdivision's
They did.
assistance as well?
They did.
So they get kind of a double hit then, though, really. They fund their own road, plus they fund the roads of the subdivision.
Correct.
To a certain degree.
Correct.
Okay. It would
Yep.
seem to me, it just as a bystander, that there'd be some kind of proportional recognition of what the condo association is paying for their own road in totality of the project to recognize that the homeowners association may not be funding their road. That's a humble opinion without a lot of back knowledge. That's all. So thank you for your time.
Yeah, there's so many different ways to, I mean, there is no one perfect way to apportion what the cost is. I'll throw you another curveball. What if I'm a person who's on the very first house into the subdivision?
Sure.
Which means I'm only using 30 feet of the roads. Why should I get charged as much as the person who's the deepest into the homeowners association? I've had people, I've heard people make those arguments as, I'm not even using the roads. I just have to drive in 30 feet into my driveway, so.
But I wouldn't ask you to pay twice for it, though, either. So
Yeah, I understand.
that part of it
Yeah.
is the part I'm just kind of hanging on to a little bit. And it's a shorter road, so I don't know what the total expense would be on the condo side. But, and again, Mr. Heisey, you had mentioned that, you know, is it a road? What is it, and what kind of funding, et cetera? So I think there's a little tempting consideration for that, that's all. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else on this item? Sure.
Hello, my name is Eileen Coleman, and I was going to concur with her, because to me, just from a common sense perspective, they're paying twice. It makes no sense. Common sense. Because they're already paying for their roads, so you want them to pay twice.
But-
That's just my perspective.
But common sense, how do they get out of their condo?
But we don't, if we have subdivision work done on our roads, we don't pay every road that feeds into our subdivision. Do we? So if we're gonna, we pay every road that feeds, no, I mean, if you redo roads in
Yeah.
a subdivision, everyone in that subdivision is paying for their frontage. They don't have frontage. They have their own frontage, which they're already paying for. That's all. It seemed like kind of basic stuff.
Okay, thank you. All right, anyone else on this item? Mr. Fellrath, do you have anything else to add? All righty. Yeah, okay.
The point of clarification, I know the township has spent some money for services.
Closer to the mic.
The township has spent some money to
Yeah.
date, but it's preliminary. I don't know what that figure is, but we always use them to help us start up the process.
Right.
Okay.
And to serve as an advisor, et cetera. Yeah. To work with HOAs
Correct.
across the
Yes.
township
Yes.
to advise them on what
Correct.
goes into an SAD. Yeah.
Is that clear?
Okay, I'm looking for a motion then on this item.
Mr. Supervisor,
Mr. Clerk?
I move the adoption of Resolution 2019-11-12-101, authorizing the engineering firm OHM Advisors to perform preliminary engineering under Step F of the Township Summary of Events, SAD Program for Road Improvements dated July 2019 for the proposed Colony Farm Subdivision SAD Road Improvement Project as submitted and described on the received petition for the cost not to exceed $14,800.
Thank you. Motion's made by Clerk Vorva. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Heitman. Mr. Clerk, when you're ready, please take the roll.
Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Trustee Dempsey.
Yes.
Trustee Dorshevitz.
Yes.
Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Trustee Heitman.
Yes.
Clerk Vorva, yes. Treasurer Clinton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay.
So just for clarification, we've authorized the engineering study. We haven't authorized
Exactly. Only.
no district, no apportionment, no cost
Apportionment's
allocation.
always up to the
They
board.
got to come back with a percentage when we're all done after that with a new number.
Do you think the December 12th, 2019 public meeting is high probability of happening? That's what it says in the timeline here.
That's,
2
yeah,
months, yeah.
You're not going to be done by then.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, September 3rd.
Okay, so the answer is no, it'll be in January.
Late, yeah, February.
When you say public meeting, is that a meeting here or with the HOA?
It'll be an informational meeting.
With the residents?
Correct.
Okay.
Informational meeting number 2.
But you have to
Right.
do the engineering study.
First.
And there's
Yeah.
snow on the ground.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we do, but we've looked at the roads. We kind of have a good feeling for what they look like.
Okay. Thank you. Don't go away, gentlemen, because we're going to move on to item F4. This is the Plymouth Meadows SAD engineering request.
So this is a similar request for an adjacent neighborhood. This is Plymouth Meadows, which is right down the road from Kelly Farms. This one's a little bit more straightforward. If you show the map, if I could ask the map be shown.
Yeah.
There's no condo association affiliated with this subdivision. However, there are 4 lots to the north that are not part of the subdivision, but they are included within the district. They do have their lone means of access through the public roadway, so, and they share, I think, a private driveway of some sort.
Those residents were there before the subdivision was built?
No.
Is that what caused that situation?
No.
Those are individual lots.
Yeah, I need to mention that my lot is number 38 on the map.
So which mansion is yours, Jack?
My humble abode is number 38, Mr. Dorshevitz. And those were subdivided off of the basically 4-acre lots on Beck. So those are the back 2 acres of
Oh, you're one of these 4. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
number 38.
30, right there where your thing is, yeah.
So 2 have said yes, signed the petition, and 2 have not.
2 have not said anything. They haven't said not.
Well, they haven't signed, right?
All right.
Correct, they have not signed.
That's what
Let's
this
go.
is.
We've
It's
gotten our
a-
yucks out
yeah.
of this.
So your house was built before the rest of these?
No, it's just the opposite.
Oh,
opposite.
after.
Okay, back to Mr. Felrath.
Yeah.
Anything
So
else?
The tally is well over 51% for both front footage and number of units for this initial petition. So having said that, again, the board is requested to authorize the preliminary engineering.
And this amount is 11,000 something?
Is there an option? It was interesting. The previous proposal as well as this one now, they're adjacent neighborhoods. They actually, I'm sure that people from each neighborhood are going through the other's roads. Is it a good idea or a bad idea to consider merging this into one project? Are there any economies of scale to be had to do the engineering and the construction all in one project versus 2 separate projects?
I think George can comment, but the idea is to keep these 2 on the same schedule, so we would go out to bid at the same time and perhaps get the same contractor, and there would be an economy of scale because they're both asphalt roads.
So Thoreau,
But they're treated as separate projects,
Thoreau's
but the
straight,
economy of scale would come in when we
For
go
a
out to
bidding
bid
process.
and hire a contractor. Will most likely be the same contractor.
So the mobilization cost will be reduced, and maybe some staging and whatever. So it's a great idea. Thanks for doing that. Keep them on a parallel timeline.
Yes, that was.
That's the idea.
It, I mean, doesn't necessarily mean you'll get the same contractor, but there's a possibility. More interest potentially in the project because they're near each other.
I think that's what they're talking about. I mean, you can bid this as one or separately, correct?
Well, we potentially could bid it as one project, but I think we would need to make them distinct as far as contractually with divisions or something.
Yeah.
If they're 2 separate SAD districts, I think you need some separation. But
Yeah, but you can do that, but you can manage the contracting
yeah,
as
potentially.
one.
it's a great idea.
Sure.
I would, open the mind up for that in addition to the parallel timing. I think that's especially with asphalt, hauling, especially if it's done in a competitive time, like in the middle of the summer,
Is Pine
you'll have an
Trail,
advantage.
is Pine Trail Court part of either
Yeah.
of these?
No.
Okay, so that one's not here, so it's
So do Colony Farms
here,
condos,
here, here.
they use this section at all?
Thoreau.
They use these roads?
Sometimes.
So they enter
Absolutely.
from Joy to Thoreau, is that what that is?
Sure.
Could.
You
Or
could.
Colony Farm.
You go Colony Farms, you can take North Hampton.
Yeah, you can go this
Okay,
way.
so they would get some benefit also, indirect, if these were paved, right? Okay. I wonder if they know that.
I'm sure they do.
They use it.
Unless they religiously decide never to use Northampton because, for some
That's the
reason.
way I always go when I go in there. Always like driving down Northampton.
I'm sure that the Plymouth Meadows HOA would appreciate voluntary contributions from public officials.
We just walked it the other day.
Okay, gentlemen, Mr. Felrath, any other items for us? Any more questions for Patrick or George from the board? Now from the public. You want to come back and lobby for your project again?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Supervisor. So, yeah, so I said a lot of what I said earlier in support of the Colony Farms project, but as I say, some of the potential synergies are of interest to us. You know, there's recognition from the homeowners in Plymouth Meadows that the subdivision has been around about 40 years. Very little maintenance has been done. There's been one homeowner who's been out there with cold patch himself, who's very dedicated, but he's north of 70 now. We think probably shouldn't be on him to put on some of that maintenance. But you know, there is recognition that you know, especially at the joins, you know, people are recognizing that, and the concrete curbs as well. And as you can see from the support of the homeowners like Larry, I didn't spend all of my spare time to go to every last house, but hopefully that's been a nice distribution that's showing across the sub and by different portions.
You had mentioned concrete curbs. Do you have curbs there or no?
Yeah, we do.
You do. Does everybody in your sub have curbs? Okay. No? Did I hear it? Yes. Okay. All right.
So related
Trying
to
to
that,
seek commonality as much as possible.
since, George, you're familiar with the roads, you said, Northampton has effectively speed bumps, or I'm not sure what they are, but they're cracks that go laterally across the road. Is that engineered, or is that any idea?
You know, a lot of times with the curb and gutter, sometimes where you have a joint in the curb and gutter, it'll reflect through that way. Sometimes if you had utility service lead crossings, water service crossings years ago, you get a little bit of settlement in those areas. It's hard to say exactly what causes that.
But if this were to be resurfaced, it would not have those.
Well, I think part of the preliminary engineering study is to determine what level of project are we going to do. You know, is it going to be a full reconstruction, rehabilitation? I think that's what we determine in the next phase. You know, and we'll come up with what we think is the most efficient, effective repair.
Gravel. Makes sense.
That would be the cheapest, but probably not the most effective.
Yeah.
Okay.
Catch basins,
Yeah.
the cost of those, I want you to separate out. Maybe we can lobby the county to subsidize that, because that is a storm collection system, and by right, they have some equity in that. So,
That would be true of any SAD project in the
Right.
township, and you know the county's not going to contribute to SADs, so.
well, it doesn't hurt to ask. That would, the more they hear it, maybe someday.
I wouldn't want to waste a whole lot of money sorting that out, George, just saying.
Well, when you do your analysis, you always sort out the catch basin.
I mean, typically, whatever work we recommend to the catch basins, it'll be an individual item. You'll see it.
So there'll be a line item.
Line item.
Okay, anything else from the board? From the public? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right.
In March.
I need your name.
Brett Hyman, and we just moved in March, and I just wanted to make a comment that we have small children, and the roads there are significantly bad. They are beyond bad. And our first meeting for the HOA that we participated in, I was surprised to learn that we had not even begun the process of replacing those roads. So to see this move forward is very encouraging. And at the same time, we are extremely, Larry and I have gone over this a lot of times, empathetic, and I'm extremely empathetic to the condo owners. My father's the president of a condo board, and I've had this discussion with him over and over about how they allocate these same issues and access roads, and ultimately, I think it kind of comes down to we just being maybe a younger couple with children and other people want to move in, and I have enough people I know that are deterred by our neighborhood by how bad the roads are, that it's just a quality of life aspect. I mean, they are really bad, and we're just going to try to do anything active that we can to have them done. And the issue here is if we don't get enough signatures this time, we are going to do this over and over and over again until they get done. And eventually, enough people are going to live there where it's going to get done. So we're just trying to expedite the process. So I do appreciate your guys' time in doing the extra work and having to do this twice and have us go back and do it. And, you know, we'll just continue to do our due diligence.
We want to thank you for choosing Plymouth Township as
Well,
a
I live in
place
the
to.
city, and now I live in the township.
Oh, that's
so
even
I like
better.
that.
We love stealing people from the city.
He moved here for lower taxes. Question, which street has the worst roads?
If you go down County Farm Drive, there is a, would you consider it a creek that goes through? There's a sort of a bridge that goes over that, and some of that is crumbling so bad. And then on their side, you know, my wife and I do a lot of running down there.
Their side.
Condo.
Yeah.
Meadows.
Along Thoreau is really bad, all along this County Farm Drive area here. I know that our HOA has funded some repair work up Colony Farm, and I did not know that, and I thought they were still bad, and they told me that we had paid and what we paid to repair some of that, and it's pretty depressing that we spent so much money on those repairs. And some of those houses, just know that have not signed, they say no because the spots in front of their street, their houses have been repaired by what the HOA has paid for. So that's kind of interesting as that. So,
Okay.
I agree, you know, I agree with you saying, hey, the guy in the first house probably doesn't want to pay or may have a different outlook on it, but I live in a court, so I figure, hey, I got to pay for that court, but I certainly don't mind paying for everyone else to access their court. In addition to the fact that at the very end of County Farm Drive into Joy, there's a neighborhood that a Pulte's building there, and there was a lot of pass-through coming through there, and you know, we could go as far as griping about people passing through there that now I got to pay to repair a road that they're going to use. I mean, everyone's going to pay for the roads to be used. It's just the way it is. So.
Hopefully the Canton folks won't find out. So we'll scrub that from tonight's
They have
record.
no
Okay.
So, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else on this item? All righty, then I need a motion.
Mr. Supervisor,
Mr. Clerk.
I move to adopt Resolution 2019-11-12-102, authorizing the engineering firm OHM Advisors to perform preliminary engineering under Step F of the Township Summary of Events, SAD program for road improvements dated July 2019 for the proposed Plymouth Meadows subdivision SAD road improvement project as submitted and described on the received petition for a cost not to exceed $11,500.
Second.
Okay, motion's made by Clerk Vorba, seconded by Trustee Kermy. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Dempsey.
Yes.
Trustee Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Trustee Heitman.
Yes.
Clerk Vorba, yes. Treasurer Clinton.
Yes.
Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you very much. Good luck. We'll take it to the next level on both projects. See what happens. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Next is item F6. We're going to jump over F5. F6 is a resolution to designate new voting precinct locations. Mr. Clerk.
Thank you very much, Mr. Supervisor and the board. As you are aware, there's been some changes in the state law whereby we're probably going to be receiving a lot more absentee ballots here in the township by virtue of the passing of the laws in 2018 November. We're going to be needing the space that is used for Precinct 3, which is here in the Township Hall, in order to process absentee ballots. We inquired with the school district to see if they would make available once again the former Precinct 3, which was the Allen School, and they agreed to allow us to use that. So part of this proposal is to move Precinct 3 from the Township Hall back over to its former location at Allen School. In addition, Precinct 9, which is located at Living Word Church, has a situation going on where they're selling or attempting to sell some of their property. They have had a couple of offers for that property, and there's a likelihood that there may be construction going on in the spring during some of our election time, and we felt that that could cause a problem for both for the church and the potential builder and for the voters. So in our proposal, in accordance with state law, the township board has to okay the changing of polling locations. So our proposal is to move Precinct 3 from here over to Allen, Precinct 9 to Northridge Church, and they do have the room to house two precincts, Precinct 10 and now Precinct 9. And so I'm asking for your support in moving this in order to accommodate a better and smoother election this coming year.
So how do you communicate it to the voters? How are you going to communicate?
We have to advise them by mail that it's been done. We're also advising them in our newsletters and in our website newsletters.
And e-news too. We've
E-news, yes.
actually started with the e-news
Right.
like last month.
Last month, yes.
So
And how are you going to make sure that Precinct 9 voters go to the Precinct 9 voting area?
Again,
and 10 go to 10 in the same location?
Good point. What we're going to have is signage right there at the entrance, directing them to different locations in the building.
And I might suggest that the folks who are manning those polls need to be very
Absolutely.
You need big maps.
conscious.
If
Yes.
you live here, go here. If you live here,
Yeah,
Go there.
and
Absolutely.
big
Yeah.
color-coded maps. Yeah.
because there were some assumptions made in the 18 election. I think there was sort of a business as usual attitude with some folks,
Yes.
which wasn't appropriate and
Yes.
caused problems. So everybody needs to recognize that at that polling location, that we need to make sure that 9s are 9 and so forth.
Exactly. And one of the requirements of the chairperson of each precinct is to announce the opening and closing of the polls. It has to be public out front, and there will be signage that they will be pointing people to. Good point.
Jerry, does the school district have a school holiday on March 10th and the other dates?
Yes, on election days, there's always a no school,
they will have no school on March 10th.
according to their past practice.
Well, we better be sure, or they don't care if there's strangers in the building then.
No.
That's my point.
Yeah, we spoke directly to the superintendent, and then she inquired to Allen School, and then came back to us with an okay.
Because those are preschoolers and they don't, sometimes
Right.
they're on a different schedule.
Sure.
Well, there's also the Early Childhood Academy there as well, which is
That's correct.
affiliated with the school district, but is still considered a separate entity.
Correct.
They're on a different payroll, a different everything. It's almost like a company working there. So my point is, they're obviously on the same schedule as
Right.
well, so the whole building's going to be closed.
They'll be available for us, right?
Okay. Bob's checking the calendar, so.
So we'll have 3 elections in
You know, Bob,
March.
it may not be in there yet because when they set their calendar, I don't know if the
Yeah.
March 10th primary was even
Anticipated.
operational yet.
Right.
March, well, it's got 11 and 12 isolated.
11 and 12 are circled for some reason.
Why? For some reason.
Those are days off, I guess?
No,
I don't know what
I don't know what those mean.
It says
They're-
half-day.
Half day.
Their days off are by labor contract.
So
March
they're
11th.
open.
Yeah, March 11th and 12th, but not March 10th.
So
So
better
it's
be
probably-
absolutely sure they don't, when you show up and they say, oh, we can't do this because of security.
No, we set this up long ahead of time. So we have meetings with the, not only the maintenance people, but with the people who run the building.
It would be a board motion of the school board to just declare March 10th a election holiday.
Sure.
If I recall, Isbister had school in session while,
They used to, Bob, but they don't anymore. For primary in general, they close just because they don't want, it's in their union contracts, but they also just don't want strangers walking around the building nowadays. And there's too much disruption with parents dropping, you know the drill. I mean, it's just too much hassle. But I suspect that, Jerry, just double check with the
Yes.
school district. They may have to make a motion. You know, there's another example, it's somewhat related, is Board of Review. So state law, Board of Review to appeal the assessment on your home is March 10th by law. And the assessing associations across the state have lobbied the legislature, they've told the governor, they never thought of that. So what we're doing, and every community, the legislature's not changing that date. So we're going to have Board of Review on March 10th at the fire station. And other communities are doing it at libraries or schools or other public facilities. So, anyway.
So it's an example of departments not talking to each other in the state of Michigan. They're just doing it.
When they set up this
Complex
primary,
operation.
when they set up this primary, it's once every 4 years. And someone didn't realize that on the 10th of March, which is a date set in the statute, of when you're going to have the board review is being held throughout the state.
So anyway, I'm just using that as an example
Yeah, yeah.
where the school district may have to intervene and give themselves a day off. I'm sure they won't get much opposition.
I just looked up Canton. The majority of the precincts in Canton are all at the schools. So my assumption would be that.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah, when
good to double check.
When I spoke with the school district, they said it would be no problem.
Okay,
That
then.
calendar didn't show a day off.
Yeah.
Right. So, okay, do we need a motion?
Yes.
Do we have anybody from the public on this one? Okay, very good. I need a
Mr.
motion.
Supervisor?
Yep.
I move to adopt Resolution 2019-11-12-104, authorizing the relocation of Precinct 3 to Allen Early Learning Academy and Precinct 9 to Northridge Church.
Motion is made by trustee Heitman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by clerk Borba. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Trustee Heitman.
Yes.
Clerk Borba, yes. Treasurer Clinton.
yes.
Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Trustee Dempsey.
Yes.
Trustee Dorchevitz.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, we have the Jeremy Schroet show here for the rest of the meeting, and we will start off with the Ray Ann Center Storm Drain Agreement.
All right, this is a storm drain agreement for a new new development on the southeast corner of 5 Mile and Pilot Drive. It's about just under 1,000 feet of storm sewer that discharges into an existing regional 4-bay and detention basin. And if you approve the resolution, this authorizes the township supervisor to sign the Wayne County maintenance permit and authorizes the supervisor and clerk to execute the storm drain agreement.
Any comments or questions from the board?
Yeah, I have some questions. This is a commonly known as a Muslim mosque, correct? Is it privately owned or is it exempt from taxes? And how do we handle it if they're exempt from taxes? Property tax. Are they exempt?
I don't know that. I know it's a faith-based community center.
Mr. Bennett, would you like to comment on that?
My guess, without looking into this, would be that it is exempt if it's a ecclesiastical corporation. Without knowing the specifics, I can't answer that question specifically.
They're exempt from taxes, but are they exempt from maintaining the storm sewer?
If that is not in the nature of taxes, and it doesn't appear that it would be, that would be more in the line with a fee, and they would not be exempt from that.
They'd be responsible for the drain maintenance pursuant to this agreement. Any other questions from the board? Anybody from the public?
Mr. Supervisor?
Mr. Heitman.
I move to adopt Resolution 2019-11-12-105, authorizing the township supervisor to sign the Wayne County permit M49095 and approve the storm drain agreement with Ray Ann Center and authorize the township supervisor and clerk to execute the same.
Motion's made by trustee Heitman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by clerk Borba. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Heitman.
Yes.
Clerk Borba, yes. Treasurer Clinton.
Yes.
Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Trustee Dempsey.
Yes.
Trustee Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
In this vein, do we have some way of educating homeowners associations, businesses, others who have responsibility for maintenance and repair of storm sewers, that is the case? I have the feeling that many of these property owners have no idea that it's their responsibility until there is a flood or a fiasco. So let's think about that. I mean, I don't think we're doing anything, but I mean, we need to.
Homeowners associations are aware of that. Condo associations are aware of that. We get inquiries all the time. We have Friends of the Rouge, the Alliance of Rouge Communities. We are required to educate people on our stormwater permits, which we do.
We're doing it.
So, yeah, we've got all that covered. All right, so next up is item F8, the Ray Ann Center Water Main Agreement. Jeremy?
This is the water main easement for the same Ryan Center on the corner of 5 Mile and Pilot. It services 3 hydrants, fire suppression line, and water service.
Okay, any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Hearing none, I'm looking for a motion on item F8.
Mr. Supervisor.
Mr. Clerk.
I move for the adoption of Resolution 2019-11-12-106, authorizing the township clerk, township attorney, and township engineer to sign the water main easement for Rayan Center and to authorize recording of same.
Motion's made by Clerk Vorva. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Heitman. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Clerk Borba, yes. Treasurer Clinton?
Yes.
Trustee Kermy?
Yes.
Trustee Dempsey?
Yes.
Trustee Dorchevitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Heisey?
Yes.
Trustee Heitman?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you very much. Next is item F9. This is the storm drain agreement for Plymouth Park and Eats. This is the new facility at the corner of Eccles and Schoolcraft. Yes, that is Plymouth Township. And it's a very innovative project where we have food trucks that are either partially permanently stationed there and also rotated out, I believe, from time to time. But it has become a very cool destination. I don't know how it's doing right now, but today, but it's a very, very interesting concept that's really attracting a lot of attention, and really in both, mostly Livonia and the Livonia area, with a lot of the other folks from Amazon going over there and
So they
and other
came, they
businesses.
came to the planning commission?
Did they? Yeah.
Yeah, a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And the reason they came was to ask if we would permit them to extend the season, because originally I think it was supposed to be April through November, and they've been so successful. Particularly, he said, it's very popular among the businesses there. The workers at Amazon only get a half hour for lunch, so they're able to get there, pick up their lunch, and get back. So it sounds like it's really been, quite appealing.
Did you
to
guys
people.
approve it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, great.
Till what?
Good.
Time?
I think through the winter, if I recall.
Wow, good.
But I drove by there today, and there was nobody there, but it was, today was unusual.
Right.
I have a question about Amazon. They have a facility in Plymouth Township side in the old Evans Products, Eccles area.
Next to Penske.
Is that a refurbished building or a new building?
I don't know.
It's got to be refurbished. It's in the building, it was in the packet, under the...
Certificate of occupancy.
Yeah, the C of O.
So I just was wondering whether it was the building that is
No, it wasn't
closest
new.
to I-275, which was built maybe 20 years ago, or is it one of the old industrial buildings from the 1930s and 40s that are in the complex?
I think it's a refurb.
Yeah, it's got to be. It's not new.
It's not new construction. So anyway, but that was really, really pretty interesting presentation he gave.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions or comments from the board on this item? From the public? Then I need a motion.
Mr. Supervisor.
Mr. Heitman.
I move to adopt Resolution 2019-11-12-107, authorizing the Township Supervisor to sign the Wayne County Permit C-51207 and approve the storm drain agreement with Next Gen Detroit, Plymouth Park and Eats LLC, and authorize the Township Supervisor and Clerk to execute same.
Motion's made by Trustee Heitman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Dempsey. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Treasurer Clinton?
Yes.
Trustee Kermy?
Yes.
Trustee Dempsey?
Yes.
Trustee Dorchevitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Heisey?
Yes.
Trustee Heitman?
Yes.
Clerk Borba? Yes. Motion carries.
Very good, thank you. All right, item G is supervisor and trustee comments. We will not be meeting again until December 10th. Holiday schedules are intervening, and I don't think we would be able to get a quorum for November 26th. That does mean the December 10th meeting is going to go long, so just be ready, bring your coffee, and we won't need sleeping bags or anything like that. It's not like Lansing used to be, but it will be busy. We also had, I like to call it a perfect storm here over the last couple days with the snow coming down on everybody's yard waste bags. It's a rarity. I hope it doesn't happen a lot, but we do have a lot of homes that still do not have their yard waste bags picked up yet, including mine. Just be patient. GFL is out there as much as they can, given the weather and time of day circumstances that they're up against. Trash is generally being picked up on the same day that you put it out, as well as recycling. But the confluence of the unprecedented snowstorm, along with the fact that this was the season for people to put out their yard waste bags, in some cases, I know in my neighborhood it's anywhere from 2 to as many as 15 or more bags at one house. When those trash trucks pick up that compost, not all of that stuff can go into that truck. So they have to load up what they got, then they take it to the compost facility, then they have to come back. They may have to make that trip a couple times each day. So that's why, even under good conditions, yard waste is not picked up until very late in the day. Under these current conditions, it's very difficult. And in some cases where you are on a busy road, I know I've got a neighbor on McClumpha. I think he's got probably 30 or 40 bags out in front of his house that have now been largely plowed under with snow. So it's going to make it very difficult to attack some of those locations. So I'm just asking folks to be patient. We hope to have all the yard waste bags picked up by Saturday. GFL probably will be working on Saturday as well. And it's an inconvenience, but at least we've got our power, right? And it could always be worse. And so just please bear with us as we get through this unique incident. Otherwise, we'll see you on December 10th. Bob?
Thanks for the work done on the binder here, Jerry, whoever did that.
The binder, yeah.
That was Paula that came up with this idea. And also, if you would just leave these here, we'll recycle the stuff in there. If you want to take stuff, we just take it out of there, and then we'll reuse the binders.
All set?
Bob, you're set?
You all set, Bob?
Yeah.
Okay. Gary?
Yep, all set, thank you.
All set?
Mark?
All set?
Jack Dempsey? Chuck Kermy?
The website, does it have the new date, no meeting on the 26th? Easy News said we had a meeting, so we just maybe want to update the website.
Who's Easy News?
E-News.
Oh, E-News, yeah.
News,
I'll make the formal declaration, and then we'll put it up on the website, and we'll put it on Facebook and post it too. So, because we're not doing any more E-News this month, right? Unless we want to do a special. Yeah.
No news is good news. The last one was
Yeah.
fantastic. That was had a lot of informative stuff. Great
Sue
job.
does most of the work on that.
I
So.
agree.
Okay, anything else, Chuck?
No.
Okay. Public comments, limited to 3 minutes. Anybody in the public? Mr. Heitman, number 2? No? Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Supervisor,
Heitman.
I move we adjourn at 8:44.
Motion's made by trustee Heitman to adjourn. Is there a second? Second by trustee Dempsey. All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye. Aye. We are adjourned.
Aye.
Just leave your phone.